or bring some home for breakfast too. The third property of the water is microclustering. Now, H2Os group in clusters of 15, 20, even up to 100 parts per cluster. And a lot of times they're so large, they can't fit into the cells of your body. So a good example of that, if you ever exercised or you ran, and then you drank a lot of water, and you feel it like swishing around your stomach, that's because the water molecule clusters are so large, they can't fit into the cells of your body. With the Kong machine, it's able to break these water molecule clusters up so that they're anywhere from 5 to 6 parts per cluster. So if you took tennis balls, for instance, and threw them at a chain link fence, not many of the tennis balls can make it through the chain link fence. If you threw marbles at a chain link fence, a lot of the marbles can make it through the fence. Now the marbles represents Kangen water, the tennis balls represents regular water, and the fence represents the cells of your body. So I'm going to show you the microclustering in the water. So I've got 2 tea bags here. This is a Yamamoto green tea, and we're going to take 1 tea bag here and put it over here. Take this other tea bag and put it over here. Now we take our Kangen water and pour it into this cup right here. Now normally when you make tea, what do you have to do? You got to heat up the water, right? So we'll take some Aquafina here and pour it over here. Now what happens when we start dunking these tea bags? What's happening? Why is this one turning to tea and this one's is kind of confused? It's because of the smaller water molecule clusters are able to penetrate this tea bag and pull that tea out. Now this is very important because that tea bag acts like the cell of your body. The water is able to get into the cells, hydrate, detoxify, and oxygenate the cells 400% better than any other water. Also, Dr. 𝗕𝗂𝗺𝗃𝗃, Nobel Prize scientist, says you need 5 to 6 parts per cluster in order to penetrate the cell wall and hydrate the cell of your body. So it's very, very important. All right, now we're going to check out the chlorine in the water. So we're going to take a couple cups and check out the chlorine. So put a little water in here and a little water here. And let's check out, see how much chlorine is in the water. So this is actually a chlorine chart, and you can see how chlorinated the water is. So if we stir this up a little bit, you can see it's pretty bad. So we actually have some chopped lemons here, and when we take our lemons, our fruits and vegetables, home from the store, what do we like to do? We like to wash them in our water. So we're going to wash our lemons up. Now, did you know that chlorine was a gas they used to kill people with in World War I? They actually used to make mustard gas out of it. And where that mustard gas was used, it got into the soil, got into the roots of the plants, and they say not to buy any fruits or vegetables in that area here 90 years later because it can kill you. Israel outlawed using chlorine in their water 10 years ago, and since then there's been a 38% reduction in the cancer rate. So here we have our lemons that we're washing, and when we pour the water out, where'd the chlorine go? It went into the lemons, right? I thought we washed the lemons. We actually wash the water, right? And that's what happens when you shower. You're opening up the biggest organ of your body, which is your skin, and you take in the chlorine content that's in 10 to 12 glasses of water every time you shower. When you wash your fruits and vegetables, the water runs right off, but the chlorine gets sucked right in. That's why it's so important to wash your fruits and vegetables with water that doesn't have any chlorine or any chemicals in it. Now, I got some tomatoes here. These are Sunburst Nature Sweet tomatoes, and we're going to wash these tomatoes up. So I have a couple cups here, and we're going to put a couple tomatoes in this one, and a couple tomatoes over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to wash these tomatoes. We're going to wash these tomatoes here in our strong Kangen water, strong alkaline water, just like so. And these other ones we're going to wash in our Aquafina. There's our Aquafina. And we're just going to give these a little bit of a agitate them. Okay, now this is what your body is made up of in water. It's actually 75% water. You see the makeup of your body, your bones and your skin and everything, your brain. This is Dr. Hiromi Shinya. He's actually one of the top 5 doctors in the world today. Now you never want to turn your back on this doctor because he actually invented the colonoscopy. Okay, that was a joke. All right, but he's actually worked on over 400,000 colons. And he prescribes this water to every single one of his patients. In fact, he won't take a patient unless they're drinking this Kangen water. He's the only doctor we know of with the 0 reoccurrence of cancer with his patients. Now, this is some before and after pictures of some colons before and after the water. This is actually a 52-year-old male with prostate cancer. This is before, and then 3 months after being on the water. This is a 45-year-old female with breast cancer and chronic constipation. This is before and 3 months after being on the water. This is a person with chronic constipation. This is before and then 3 months after being on the water. Now, this is directly related to the tomatoes, believe it or not. So if I have these tomatoes here, and these tomatoes here have been washing in the Aquafina, and when we pour out the water, not much change. These ones have been soaking in the Kangen water. We pour out the water. Now, what do we have here that we don't have here? What we have here is pesticides and herbicides that are removed off the tomatoes. Because when pesticides and herbicides were first used, they'd wash off in the rain. And then what happens is they'd have to spray them again with pesticides and herbicides. Then it rained again and wash them off. So then they got smart and they made them oil-based so they'd stick. So just to show you that, I got some sesame seed oil. And we're going to take this sesame seed oil, and we're going to put a little bit of sesame seed oil in here. And we use sesame seed oil because it's probably one of the darkest oils there is on the market. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take we'll take our Dasani, for instance, and put a little Dasani over here. Now you can see how the oil and the water separate, just like you learned in school. Okay? The oil floats to the top. Here's our Kangen water. That emulsifies it. Okay? And that's how it works so good also. It also helps out with body fat loss too because of this. Now, this is a little boy with psoriasis. This is before on the left, and then after drinking and using the 2.5 strong acidic water on his skin after 1 month. This is a person with psoriasis before, and then using the 2.5 strong acidic water on their skin and drinking the drinking water. You can see the amazing results that they got. Now, you can do it with all the cleaners in your house, all your 409s, your Windexes, etc., and just use the Kangen water and the strong acidic water to disinfect your house, etc. And you do it with all those bottled waters that you've been drinking before and save yourself a lot of money. There's an article in Reader's Digest that says, "How safe is your bottled water?" And the article talks about how all the bottles that you see up here, they're all rated on a scale of 1 to 7. Basically 1 being worst, 7 being best. 1's mean it has a lot of BPA, synthetic estrogens, phytophthaleins, which are in the plastic, which leaches into the beverage and cause a lot of health problems. That's why Sheryl Crow sued the bottling company, because she claimed she got cancer from the bottles, which is what her doctor implied. All these bottles that you see up here, with the exception of the glass one, they're all rated 1s. So this leaches into your water and your beverage and cause a lot of health problems. It's really bad for you. And there's also, it says in the articles that there's 2 areas twice the size of Texas, 10 feet deep, where all these plastic bottles are gathered together and decomposing in the middle of the ocean. Now, the energy it takes just to create the plastic bottles in the United States alone could fuel over 1 million cars for an entire year. That's over 17 million barrels of oil. This is what some experts are saying about the water as well. Second one down, Dr. Robert Young. He's been featured on CNN News because he's getting such great weight loss stories from his patients, alkalizing their bodies with the water, etc. And he says on CNN News that when your body is acidic, you store body fat around your vital organs. And when you're alkaline, you burn that body fat up as energy. So he says on CNN News, it's not that people are overweight, they're over-acidic. There's some other books that have been written on the subject as well. Reverse Aging by Dr. Sang Wang. In it he says, removing acidic waste is more effective than diet and exercise alone. You probably recognize this guy, Bill Gates. He has 27 doctors that work for him full-time on staff, got an autoimmune disease, and they suggest you get the machine. He got great results with his autoimmune disease. He actually has 16 machines in one house. He's got one in his boat and his plane. He bought 20 other machines as well. These are some other people that you probably know that have at least 3 or 4 machines in their house. Got Donald Trump, President Obama. Actually, when on the very bottom left, when Carlos Santana performs on stage, in between songs, every once in a while he'll say, "Everybody should be drinking Kangen water." Now, I want to thank you guys for listening to this presentation, and hopefully you can try this water out. It's got a 30-day money-back guarantee on it, so if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. And you got to start your way back onto health, because the most important thing that you can put into your body is the water that you drink.